I'm a clinical psychologist by training, and I work as a researcher and a clinician. So I split my time evenly between researching some of the big questions in child and adolescent mental health and then working as a clinician in child and adolescent mental health services. What I focus on is everything to do with parenting. So I and my team believe that helping children and adolescents is the thing that we really want to do, and helping them with everything from their emotional and their behavioural well-being to their learning and communication skills and all sorts of different things. But previous research suggests that actually working directly with the young person is not actually the most effective way of bringing that change around. Working with the families and the caregivers and the parents is one of the biggest ways to make that difference in the young people's lives. So we have designed a range of interventions for parents and education programs and groups and individual work for parents from lots of different populations and lots of different groups to help them help their children. So our big research questions are, do these interventions we have developed, do they work? Who do they work for best? In what way do they work? Can we develop different groups and different individual interventions for different populations? And if they're shown to work, can we then scale them so that we can reach more people? So rather than just doing it in a small population, can we make it spread across the country and even internationally? So those are some of the big things that we're working on at the moment. Our evidence is at, depending on the intervention, it's actually at different levels. So one of the group-based interventions we're working on, we have conducted quite a large randomised control trial of that programme. And that's one of the highest levels of evidence you could have. And that was shown when we did that programme, that was for parents of children aged 2 to 11, where the children had high levels of behavioural and emotional difficulties. And we found that through the intervention that parents reported that their children's behaviour improved, the parents felt more confident in their parenting, they were able to implement some more kind of positive parenting skills, they were less concerned about their child by the end of the intervention, and they worked significantly towards some goals that they set for themselves. And this was compared to a group of people in a waiting list who didn't receive the intervention. And so that's the highest level of evidence. But for some of our different programs, we've developed one for parents of babies, we've developed one for parents of teenagers. I'm particularly involved in developing a group for parents who have mental health difficulties themselves and don't traditionally access groups as well. Though that evidence we've got for that is at probably a lower level. So we've run some trials, but it's not been to the level of a large randomised control trial yet. Well, what we're trying to do is once we figure out if something works in a small scale, we then try to see if we can scale it up. So that is to see how can we run it exactly the same, but in more locations so more people can access it. Because what we know is that the vast majority of people who need the help, the vast majority of parents and children, don't get access to the treatments that we've developed, or any treatment in fact. But also there's an element of scaling out, which is not just running it more, but altering it slightly so that it can be run in the different populations, because one group of parents in South London might have a very different needs to parents in Scotland or the North East or the North West. So we work with local organisations to set up hubs to run our groups and our interventions that are specifically tailored to those particular populations. Now, my role as a clinician and a researcher, it's just to continue monitoring. Does this intervention still work in the same way that we know it worked sort of in a test tube, highly controlled situation? Does it still work when it's being run in all these different countries and different locations? But as a clinician, I go along and I train other parents and other clinicians how to run the interventions, and actually I deliver some of the interventions myself. So I'm particularly involved in our one for parents with mental health difficulties. I am one of the clinicians and I co-facilitate it with another parent. So and that was after some small-scale research to suggest that this group works. So there's a bit of ongoing monitoring and then a bit of delivering it myself.